What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am here with Chad Townsend. How's it going, brother?
Good, man. Thanks for having us.
You know what? I was actually looking at your name earlier on your Wikipedia, and me, with my name being Denon, it's been torture my whole life. I've discriminated against for having a terrible name. But anyway, Chad Townsend. Are we saying it all wrong with the D on the end?
No, that's it. Chad Townsend.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people ask me if my name's Chadwick. I know Ben Barber said to me one of the first days I walked back into the locker room at the Sharks.
Yep.
He said, "Is your name Chad or Chadwick?" And I said, "It's just Chad." And ever since then, he's just called me Chadwick.
So the answer did not matter.
He's got no disregard. He just calls me Chadwick. So I'm happy to. Whatever. I'm happy to answer to whatever. Yeah.
That's the same with us. Sandor Earl. His name's actually Shandor.
Shandor.
Anyway, how you been, brother? I mean, okay, if we were having this conversation 2 weeks ago, we'd be sitting there going, what a year for Cronulla. I mean, it still has been such a fantastic year, but now you've hit that rough patch. I was actually going to make a video about it recently, last night. I think this is the best thing that could happen to you because there's no way mentally you could have kept that form going into the finals. How are you feeling?
I mean, so far, you look at our season, I guess, it's been one that's we've been on a high for probably a really long time, and I guess in the NRL you haven't seen probably a streak like that for a number of years. And for us, everything was going right for such a long time, and we were up on a high. And then the last couple of weeks, we've lost a couple in a row, and it's been a bit of a tough period. But for us, we just need to get back to what we were doing when we were winning those games and all the little things we were doing right. And at the moment, in the last couple of weeks, we just sort of dropped away from those little things, and all those things have added up, and we've had a good look at the tape and some areas that we can improve on. So for us, it's just about getting back to that, and then hopefully, moving forward into the back end of the year. Is
there any specifics that you guys look at and go, that's it, that's what we're missing? Is it that extra 1% play? A 1% play for people that are watching is, you cover in defence when you didn't really need to, but you were there. Yeah,
anyway. I think you just knocked it on the head there, but doing things that you're probably not, required to do, but you just do them for the good of the team.
Yep.
Things like support, making cover tackles, putting on kick pressure, kick chase, all those little things that probably the normal everyday person doesn't really see. But I guess us as footballers, we notice that stuff, and we've probably dropped away on that. And so for us, it's probably just about getting back and doing those things, more often to give ourselves the best position to win the game.
And how are you feeling, I guess, physically? Are you feeling pretty good physically, fresh? Or?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm feeling pretty good. Obviously, this time of the year, it's pretty tough, and the season is quite long, too long in my opinion. But at this stage, everyone's sort of probably carrying a couple of bumps and bruises, and you just got to get through it. You got to see the physio and get your massage and do all your rehab and prehab. And at the Sharks, we focus a lot on that, a lot on our prehab and stretching and things like that, and which has been outstanding for me because it makes you feel good this time of the year, which is what you need heading into the semi-finals.
Yeah, when I was playing, that was my biggest hurdle, was just that consistent footy towards the end there was so hard because you were just so mentally, you'd done so much fitness, you'd been bashed for so long. Like it's not like you're a boxer, and don't get me wrong, boxing is way harder than footy, but boxers is like 12 weeks of camp and you're training your ass off, and then you get to rest for a bit, and then you start again. Footy, it is week in, week out, 26 weeks or something?
Yeah, 26 weeks, 24 games, 2 buys, 1 week off for the rep round.
Mate, it's just too much, I reckon. It's too much.
Yeah, I'd like to see it probably cut down to 20. I know, well, you look at the Super 15 or the Rugby Union, and I think they're only around 20. Like, their season's finished now.
Yeah.
They played their grand final 2 weeks ago, and we're not even in semi-finals yet.
See, this is what I reckon should happen. I reckon that we should reduce the amount of games and have a block in the middle there that is just dedicated purely to Origin.
Definitely agree with you. I'd like to see Origin on a standalone weekend, and you look at the competition, I guess, in that Origin period, and you've got guys like, for us, we had 5 guys out and we were playing games. The fans would rather see the top players playing week in, week out. They don't get a chance to do that, so. For them, I guess it increases their load throughout the season, but it also affects the comp, and it changes results as well. Like, you look at when the Cowboys are playing, someone in Origin period, you look at their odds or their chances to win the game, they've dropped dramatically because of the players that they're missing. So I think something needs to get. Something must happen moving forward, but that's not for me to my decision to make.
100%, and that's the thing is that people. So the ultimate argument, the alternative argument to that is you should just be stoked that you have an Origin players in your team. But what people don't realise is regardless if you have the Origin player in your team, you have a certain salary cap, and each week you want to be picking as many players from that salary cap as. So if the salary cap is $7 million. And you're going to a game and you can only pick from $4.5 million worth of players.
Yeah.
This is just a way to measure it. Obviously, there are other ways, but this is an easy way to measure it. Of course, a team that is working with $7 million is going to have more of a chance than a team that's working with $4.5 million. With a team that they don't deserve to be punished for sending their players to an Origin side. Do you know what I mean? They're doing the game a positive by sending them to Origin by saying, okay, because we want to support the game, we'll let them play for the Queensland on the Wednesday, and we'll put the clubs second, even though we're paying their bills week in, week out.
Yeah, and I think, in my opinion, Origin is the pinnacle of Australian rugby league. It,
definitely.
Generates so much money and so much interest, and you look at the ratings and everything, and they're just obviously sky high, the sponsorship, everything. So I think...
Imagine how big that would be if it was standalone. They could just drill it to that.
100%, and just the emphasis on just Origin.
Yeah.
I think it would be... unreal, and probably generate even more income for it. So,
and you could have full carnivals around that, young rugby league communities could have carnivals of under 16s, and you could have a whole month dedicated just to Origin and the celebration of footy. But I mean, we're not the CEO. I'm sure the thing is that's another thing that a lot of fans and that don't realise is there's so many other things going on, like contracts and deals with sponsors and the networks having rights, and so it's not as simple as let's just not do it. If in a perfect world, I would love to see a month dedicated to Origin and just make it like the American sports, make it this crazy, awesome thing. But back to yourself. So, the last few years you've had to genuinely work to get your spot back. Coming back from the Warriors, and it's been I could relate so much to you. I was in a similar situation, went to the Warriors, had to come back and really, really work for that spot, because you had Jack Bird initially was touted for that spot, and you're going to push Maloney to 6 and he was going to go 7, or the other way around?
I was going to go 7, Maloney to 6.
But Bird wanted to play more into the thing, but so you had to fight your way back into the cycle.
Basically, I'll go back to when I left Cronulla, and that was 2013. I decided to leave Cronulla, and at that stage it was more about me looking for an opportunity, and I wanted to prove myself week in, week out in the NRL, and I had a pretty steady halves combination in front of me. So for me it was just about looking elsewhere for an opportunity, and I never held any grudges or anything towards the Sharks at that time. I knew this is a business, rugby league is a business. You got to look after yourself, and I just said to my agent, I said, let's look elsewhere, and he came back to me and said, the New Zealand Warriors are keen, and at that time I was like, whoa, I've got to move to New Zealand, and I probably thought about it, sat on it for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I met with the recruitment officer at the time, and then I met with the coach at the time, who was Matt Elliott here in Sydney, and he had some good things to say about it. And then I went over there in New Zealand and had a look out at the facilities and the training and everything like that, and it didn't stop raining while I was over there looking and checking it out. But anyway, so I signed with the Warriors for 2 years, moved over there for pre-season at the end of 2013, and played the 2014 and 2015 season over there, and me and my girlfriend, had a pretty good time over there. Met a lot of good people, and
always club,
they did some great stuff for me. Really made me feel welcome. Their setup over there is unbelievable. Their gym, their facilities, their support. Obviously, they're one team, one country, so that the support they get from sponsors like Vodafone, and for example, it's massive. And I guess probably the players that have been there all their careers don't really understand how much they've got over there. And for me, coming from a Sydney club where we're fighting for every single dollar here, to over there where it's just everything's just on a platter. Like you get a lot of stuff, and I was just like, this is awesome, this is unbelievable. So I had an awesome time over there. Like I said, if you had said to me you'd be playing first grade at the Warriors with Simon Mannering, Sean Johnson, Manu Vadave, Sam Tompkins, like if you had told me that 5 years before, I would have said no way. So for me, like that was something that I'll definitely cherish, and I learned a lot over there in footy terms. I mean, on and off, like off the field more so. For me and my girlfriend living by ourselves and living that different lifestyle.
And I guess also you're genuinely taking care of yourself when you're over there by yourself. Yeah,
definitely. And for me and my girlfriend, it was more just about the two of us building on our relationship and our footy, my footy. Yeah. And that was all I worried about.
It's funny. It's like how you say, it is our footy though. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Well, I don't my girlfriend rides it up and down ways that I do, and she goes through everything I go through. So
and they give you the foundation to be able to do what you do because they're so good there emotionally.
And for me, that help was just invaluable. And it was someone, if we lost a couple of games, I'd come home and she'd be there to always help me out. So, but like I said, it was a very different lifestyle, and even the coaching I got over there from Andrew McFadden. Obviously, he's been an ex-halfback himself and a very tactical coach. For me, I could really relate to that. I always said to myself that I call myself a student of the game. I like watching footy, and I like to write notes down in my review or preview and things like that. And I'm really into my American sports. I like my NFL, and I see myself as like the quarterback of our team at the moment. Anyway, I pride myself on knowing all the plays and making sure that my messages are clear from the coach, what he wants and what I want. Need to be on the same page. So,
it's so true though, because like rugby league, it gets sold so much as this aggressive, physical game, but there's a mental side of it that is so underappreciated. No, I don't even appreciate it because I didn't grow up playing footy, so even me, I don't sit here and go this or that. But I had Nathan Ross on the show a few weeks ago, and he's the same. He said, I love the game and the tiny ins and outs and doing video and seeing when someone does this or does that.
Yeah, and it's tactical. Like you look at teams who are probably have got coaches that will try and mix things up to combat what the opposition do. So if the opposition defend a certain way, they'll throw a certain play on. And I look at teams like the Cowboys and the Bulldogs who are always got sneaky little plays. Their coaches obviously see an area where they can attack and they come up with a play that they exploit it. So for me, like, it's just gamesmanship. It's awesome to see. And
I'll give the fans a good example of a very low level, or not a drastic tactic, but there's some teams like the Bulldogs used to that rush up out of the line, and so the coach might say to you, I want the first set you do that you get down there, put a kick in behind.
Yep.
And what that means is he wants to put a kick in behind the winger for his winger, so that winger starts second guessing himself, doesn't rush up anymore.
Yep.
Now he's sitting there, he's not a part of that rush up defence. He doesn't know what to do, especially if you score a try. Now he's just made an error by rushing up and something's behind him. And that's just a small mental game that you play with halves and wingers that, for example, we played when I was at the Broncos, we played the Warriors. We said put a ball in behind Manu.
Yep.
You'll beat him every time on the turn. Yeah. And that's just a small weakness that Manu has because he's so massive.
Yep.
But it's also the other way around. They'd say give the ball early to Manu because you're so much bigger than Den and you can run over it. And these are small things that a lot of the fans don't really see.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a thinking game. Like the more you're thinking, the more you're thinking of areas to exploit. I guess the better it is. And
100%. Yeah. It's just so many different things. Someone might have a very lazy inside forward pack that are bigger, so they can't get that inside ball.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many different options that, as I said, because it's sold as such a physical, aggressive game, they're just big brutes that run at each other and they get an opportunity, but there is so much more going on behind the scenes.
Definitely.
So has that been, take us back all the way back to when you were a kid. Have you grown up playing footy? Were you always considered someone that was a footy player?
Yeah, I grew up in Yarwara, which is about 15 minutes from Cronulla. Played for Yarwara Tigers when I was started playing when I was 5.
Won 7 premierships or something.
Yeah, when I was lucky enough to win 7 premierships with the mighty Yarwara Tigers. I remember my first ever training session. I was in primary school, Yarwara Primary School, and a school friend at the time came up to me and said, do you want to come play rugby league? And I didn't really know too much about rugby league at the time, and I said, yeah, like, all right, I'll give it a go.
Yep.
Anyway, I went to training that afternoon and remember, doing a few laps and just kicking the ball around. And then from then on, I sort of fell in love with the game.
Yep.
It was more so the club, Yarwara Tigers, was a very family-orientated club. Now I'm still very good mates with guys, I started playing with when I was 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're still best mates. So I still
crazy.
hang out with them on a regular basis. So for me, it was, for example, we'd play footy at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. We'd stay up the oval all day and just play footy until the sun went down.
Yeah,
and
totally.
that was our weekend. Like every Saturday, we'd do the same thing. And growing up, that's how I fell in love with the game. And I guess that's given me the friendships and everything that I've made in my life.
It's like a core structure of your life.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, definitely. So that was
going to the shops and getting some Redskins.
Yeah,
and then
Redskins, Milko, Red Frogs. Yeah. So that was where I found the love for the game, and then I guess I didn't probably really think I could make or start taking it really seriously until probably when I was 14 or 15. The Howard Matthews trials were coming up for Cronulla, and there was no development squad or anything at this time, and I was a year young trying out for Howard Matthews.
Yep.
And I just said to myself, I'm just going to have a red-hot crack. Like, if you don't make it, you can always play next year. And
got a whole nother
just
year.
train your butt off. Just sacrifice, do everything you can. Train hard, do your extras, and, see what happens. And anyway, they came to the day where they were making the cuts, and I got a phone call not expecting to make it, and the coach said to me, mate, we just couldn't not pick you. So we
Far out.
at the start of the pre-season, we got told we're not allowed to pick any young kids, but the way that you trained, we couldn't not pick you. So,
wow, that's awesome.
for me, that was really pleasing to see that my hard work had paid off when I was 15 years old.
Such an obvious, like, he legitimately just said to you, your
Yeah.
hard work has got.
Yeah,
to this.
and for me, that was like unbelievable. So from then on, I just decided, I'm just going to have a go. I'm just going to have a crack. I'm going to sacrifice as much as I can. I'm going to train hard.
So even at 14 years old, you consciously thought, these are the things that I need to do to give myself a chance
Yep.
at playing NRL.
Yeah,
Kind of thing.
and like, I'm a realist. Like, I know what's going on, like, in terms of, like, how life works. I guess, like, in NRL, like, either you make it, you're good enough, or you don't. But at the end of the day, I was just saying, if I've tried my hardest, I've given it everything, and I don't make it, I can live with that.
Yeah, 100%.
But if I didn't try my hardest and I didn't do this weight session, or I didn't train then I'd be going, man, like, why did I let that opportunity
100%.
slip?
For one day with my mates,
Yeah,
I don't even remember, I don't even care about, I just missed out on this or whatever.
So, like, I mean, people ask me if I've got any advice for young kids, and that'd be it. Like, if you really want something, sacrifice things, go without, train hard, and, you can get anything you want. So,
oh, mate, 100%. And any young kid, I'm telling you now, the taste of that success is so much better than any party you could ever go to.
And then when you get success, or you get, I guess, the recognition, that feeling you get,
it's like a drug.
It's priceless,
Yep.
and it's addictive. Like,
Mate,
it makes your whole life, you feel happy, your well-being, your mindset, everything. So.
And also the process to it is such a character building process as well. There's no negatives that come from working hard towards a goal.
And there was time, like, when I was younger, where I might have been maybe 16 or 17, training on Christmas Day, doing laps in the morning, going, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
Well, yeah, Christmas Day.
Yeah, like, I always used to say that, I always used to hear this thing where, train when no one else is training.
Yep.
Who's training on Christmas Day? So
exactly.
I'd wake up, I'd go up the oval, do a couple of laps, bit of fitness, and I'd be like, I'm one up on the
Yeah,
competition.
you got one more day that
no one else is training today, so
that's crazy.
That's just how I thought. Yeah.
Did you have any issues with your size? Was that any issue for you?
Not really. I guess when I was growing up, I sort of started playing 5'8". I guess when you're sort of old enough to start playing positions, I played a bit of hooker growing up too. I've always been probably one of the small. Actually, probably when I was growing up in my team, I was probably one of the bigger guys. But then I guess when you start to get to the age where, SG ball, under 20s, things like that, guys overtook me. And
so wasn't it because even I was told, no, you're too small.
I was never really told I was too small. I've always been told I'm not quick.
Really?
Not fast, which I can cop. I've never been one to take off the mark.
Quick here though, so exactly.
But that's something I've really tried to work on this year with our strength and conditioning coach Andrew Gray. He's
so smart, man.
Yeah, he is. He knows a lot, and he's put a lot of time into my strength, and my speed, my reaction time. So that's something that I know I'm always looking to improve on.
Yeah, it's Drew is a renowned, he has his own algorithms and stuff.
Yeah, he's a smart dude.
He's not just a trainer. He is if you could give him free reign, he'd be even more technical. You know what I mean? He's good. I like Drew. He was always nice to meet the Dragons.
Yeah.
Okay. So when was the moment when you? When growing up, did you grow up single parenthood?
No, I grew up mum, dad.
Yep.
We grew up. Mum, dad split up when I was 15.
Yep.
Then I lived with my dad up until I moved to New Zealand. So 3 years ago, moved over to New Zealand, and that's when I moved. That's when my girlfriend moved over a couple of months later. So that was probably the first time moving out of home, which I guess first time moving out of home and moving country. It was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
You got to pay obviously. Your bills, your rent,
washing, cooking,
do your own washing, do your own cooking, which I'm very lucky with. My missus does a lot of that. She's an awesome cook.
Yep.
Makes my job a lot easier. So, but it was a big wake-up call for me. It's almost like, boom, here you go. You're out in the real world now. Look after yourself. Do your own thing. But it's also good because, you start to learn these things, take responsibility for your own life. Yeah. And I guess that's how you grow as a person.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And financially, everything was sweet. There was no struggles like that. You got every opportunity that you could.
Yeah, no, we grew up in a nice house, just down the road from the Tigers Oval, which is
perfect.
In a pretty good spot. Yeah, Dad was working, Mum would stay at home.
So was your dad a huge pusher in motivator in it all? Or?
He coached us a couple of times and trainer. He's always involved in the footy, which is I guess when you got your parents there supporting you, is awesome growing up. So
when you have it, you don't realise how lucky you are.
Yeah, So he was always, and he always used to give us these speeches when he tried to motivate our team. And he always used to say, we used to I'll tell you a little story. We used to it was Yarwara, which was my team, and then Cronulla Caringbah, which was Tyrone Peachy's team.
Oh yeah.
They were like our arch enemy. We'd always play them in the grand final, and
any punch-ons?
No, I don't think so. But we won a few more comps than they did. I'll get that in. But we'd be having our speech before the game, and then my dad would be standing there, and he'd be saying, "They're over there talking up how they're going to beat you," and then we'd all just be like, "Oh, are they like?" Because we were only pretty young, and then a couple of my mates still these days will bring that line up, so it's always a bit of a personal joke, but pretty funny.
And you fully believe him, and now
we were like, is he being serious? Are they really talking about they're going to beat us?
I can't believe they'd be that arrogant. How arrogant are they? Yeah. Oh man, dad joke. Have you seen a video on the internet on Facey, the dad jokes one?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, it's hilarious. If you can somehow, I'll tag you in it. Actually,
I've got a dad joke for you.
Oh, yeah, give us fun.
My old man always used to say to me, if I walk up to him and say, "Oh, Dad, I've got a headache," and he just say to me, "A head like that should ache." Worst joke. I think I heard it 20 times when I was growing up.
Oh my god, that is a good one. Yeah, head like that should ache. That is a good one. Yeah, there's this video, and it's like these kids getting interviewed as if they've been scarred by dad jokes. And it's got sad music, and it's fully emotional, and it's my dad told me some peas fell on the table, and he goes, "Hey, darling," and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I peed on the table."
I could just imagine it with the music
like,
and everything.
Yeah, the music, and the kid's like, "Now I hate vegetables." And it's just like, there's just heaps of mad, just hectic dad jokes. So when was the moment when? So you've had a relatively good upbringing. You've trained really hard. You know, you're mentally. You've got everything you needed to be an NRL player, pretty much. You had every opportunity, but you had to train hard to do it, and you got that opportunity to train hard to do it. But when was the time when you were like, "Wow, I'm good enough to make a real run here for the NRL"?
Probably when I made the Matthews Cup for the first time, year up. That was when I was like, I was still young, and NRL is probably long time, like 5 years away.
Yeah.
But from then on, I was like, you can do it. Like then I made, like, obviously played Matthews Cup my own age. Then I played SG Ball a year young. Then I played SG Ball my own age. And then after SG Ball, I went. This was probably the year where I thought I can play NRL.
Yeah.
Which was my last year in SG Ball. We finished the comp, and the SG Ball comp's only like, I think, 9 rounds or something like that, and it finishes halfway of the NRL season. And after our last semi-final in SG Ball, I went straight into the under-20s and played every game in the under-20s and up until the last 3 games. And then I played the last 4 games at that time, which was the Premier League.
Yep.
Which was a step below the NRL.
Which is New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, which is New South Wales Cup. And,
yep.
I was 18 playing with guys that had played, 150 plus NRL games. And I was just like, whoa, like, I'm playing halfback, I'm 18, I'm playing New South, I'm 1 step below playing NRL, I can do this.
Yeah, exactly, like your one position injury from, that's the way I thought about it too.
Yeah.
And other fans that may not have been aware about the game back then, if you're an 18-year-old playing in reserve grade, you're usually touted as the next NRL player.
Yeah.
If you're 18 and not playing under 19s or local league or whatever, you're usually the gun in that area or whatever.
Yeah, and like I was, just kicking myself. I was like, I can't believe this. Like that was when I was like, you're a real shot here, and played the last couple of games in the New South Wales Cup, and then we played the semi-final. We lost the semi-final and we were out. But then the next year, I played 20s the whole year, and then the year after that, which was 2011, my last year in the under-20s, that's when I made my debut.
Yep, 2011.
Halfway through the season.
Around 13?
Yep, we played the Broncos.
Yep.
Darren Lockyer was playing, which is something.
Was that a buzz for you?
Massive buzz.
Is that Suncorp?
No, it was at Shire Park.
Oh, did you tell the young Broncos up, the baby Broncos?
I think that might have been the year before.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we played on Friday night, and Flano told me on a Wednesday that you're in this week, you're playing Friday night, and then the 2 nights prior, I was like, whoa.
And it's the Broncos too.
It's Broncos, Darren Lockyer. This is my dream come true. This is everything I've done.
So was he your player that you looked up to?
Yeah, him and Brad Fittler were probably my 2 idols growing up, 2 guys I looked up to. But I was like, whoa, everything I've wanted, everything I've trained for, everything I've done in my life, like,
to this moment,
is for this moment. I couldn't sleep for 2 nights before the game.
Really?
Wednesday night, Thursday night.
Well,
didn't
just
up looking at the sky, like the ceiling. I didn't get a wink of sleep, and I was just on adrenaline.
Yeah.
I was just buzzing all around, like, because it was a late change. I couldn't really tell anyone except my parents.
Yep.
And that Friday night we lost to Brisbane, but it was a night I'll never forget. It was.
When Darren Lockyer ran out in front, like in his opposite yard, what were you thinking?
I was just staring at him. I was like, "Whoa, Darren Lockyer! That's Darren Lockyer."
Yeah,
I think I tackled him. Like, he's on the other side of the field to me. I think I tackled him once, and I was just like, "Whoa, you're right."
It's So you were just sitting across, like, whilst on the field, just going, "That's him."
I was just lost. I was like, "Whoa, man, Darren Lockyer!" Like.
Yeah, that's the man. Like, that's the man.
That's royalty.
Yeah, rugby league royalty.
Yeah.
And like, especially if you, like yourself, you love the game. So like, it's a little bit different. Like, that's your whole life, really. Like, outside of school, what else do you do? You play footy.
Yeah.
It's not like now where there's all these other options of what you can do and hobbies. Like, back then it was like you played footy and you went to school. And you played footy and you went to school, and that was it. And most of the time, you went to school to play footy.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
So, is there any memories from that game, or was it strange the way that Flano told you or anything like that?
No, it was pretty straight up. Like, there was a couple of injuries in the halves, and I guess I was just next man up. So, I guess that's how you get your opportunities in NRL, either, injury or... And, I say that, everything happens for a reason. And, I was just thankful that Flano gave me my debut. And, it was, like I said before, it was definitely a night I'll never forget. And
when you put that jersey on and you were about to run out, how'd you feel?
Yeah, I was all... Adam Dykes, the ex-Cronulla 5'8", presented me with my jersey. And... at the time, because I was still young, I didn't know that they presented you with your jersey, and I was like, well, my jersey's not in my locker. Where's my jersey? And everyone else had their jerseys on, and I was went up to the gear guy, and I was like, oh, my jersey's not in my locker. He's like, oh, don't worry, someone's gonna present you. And I was like, oh, okay, sweet. And then Adam Dykes comes in, just said a little speech saying congratulations, welcome to the Sharks family. This will be a night you'll never forget, and.
He was right.
Here you go. So,
right. Is there anything on the field that you remember vividly that, you can, when you think back?
I remember there was probably Sam Thaiday was the opposite back rower running at me, and he's obviously he's hard to handle now. So for my first game, I was pretty worried about tackling him.
Yep.
I remember I put a kick through on the line, and the Brisbane centre, I can't remember who it was.
2011 would have been the Hodjo, and
it might have been Dale Copley.
Dale
Copley, on the wing, and he came through to try and scoop it up and knocked it on, and then I think it was Jason McCulley dived on it and scored a try, and I was close to near and scoring the try, and then I was just jumping up and down, going off we scored, but yeah, it was just an awesome night.
You can't experience that feeling of running on the field.
Nah.
So you played that game, and then did you play? You played New South Wales Cup, but then you played well in New South Wales Cup. You got a call back up in the 2 games later or something.
Yeah, no. So 2011, I played the first half of the year in the 20s, and then made my debut and played the next 11 games, and then the last 2 games. I was 2 games off qualifying for the 20s semi-finals, and in the NRL we weren't going too well. I went back down to the under 20s, played the last 2 games
to
qualify for semi-finals, and then we won.
Matchies, fuck.
And then we won our. We made the grand final qualifier in the 20s, and we played the Cowboys. The Cowboys had Michael Morgan, Jason Taumalolo. Kyle Felt. Shit. They had a pretty packed side.
Yeah.
And anyway, we ended up going down to them, and they played the grand final against the Warriors, and the Warriors won. The Warriors had Sasai Feki, just an absolute.
They should win every. But they're a national under 20 side. They should win every comp.
So, and then in 2012, I started the year in New South Wales Cup, and actually cracked my sternum.
Oh wow.
Got an elbow directly on my sternum, which is probably the most painful injury I've ever had.
You can't breathe
earlier on in the year, and I missed up to 6 to 8 weeks just out. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't lay. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't. And I came back and I had a pad that was
catching the ball.
It was massive. I couldn't do bench press. I couldn't do any weights. I was shriveling away.
Yeah.
So in 2012, I only played 3 games in the NRL.
Didn't you get named in a New South Wales Cup side though?
That was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the next year, 2013, I'm off contract in 2013, and then I only played 5 games in the NRL for
was that when you had Carney in that?
That's when that
So
Carney and Robson in front of me, and so that's sort of halted my progress.
Yeah.
And that's when I was said to my manager, it's time for me to move on, and
I need a real shot here
and have a look elsewhere. And that led me to go on to the Warriors. But that year, we had quite a bit of success in the New South Wales Cup. We had just a stacked team. We had our whole team in the grand final had played NRL, a number of games of NRL. From we had Matt Wright, Stuart Mills, myself, Tyrone Peachy, Mark Tafua, John Green, Junior Moores, Kirasomi Ava, Yongton Mapea, and there's just 9 guys I've rattled off that have played. And we won that year we won, I think it was 16 or 17 in a row in New South Wales Cup.
Yep.
And then we made the grand final. We won the grand final.
Oh, you won it?
Yeah, we won it in
Okay,
2013. Nice. So it was a good way for me to go out. And I was moving on to the Warriors, and Tyrone Peachy was moving on to the Panthers. So it was a good way for us to sort of move on to the next phase of our career. And then,
you know what else it does though that a lot of people, and I think I could have benefited from this as well, or I did benefit because I was in there for 2 years, but you serve a real apprenticeship there, especially as a half.
Yeah.
Whereas all these young guys, they go like 5 or 6 games in New South Wales Cup, and everyone's like, oh yeah, they're good, they're gun, let's get them in there.
Yeah.
But when you play a full year of New South Wales Cup and you go to the grand final and you win it or whatever, that apprenticeship is so valuable.
Yeah, well, that's something that, like I said before, I think that everything happens for a reason, and I served my apprenticeship. Like while I probably wasn't happy playing New South Wales Cup, I just wanted to win. Like I just knew that 2013 season. I said to myself at the start of the year, just attack it, just play well, like train hard. If you play well in New South Wales Cup and you win, we will just win in games. We were 16 in a row. We were putting teams to the sword, and then people outside are going to notice. They're going to be like, "Whoa, this New South Wales Cup team's killing it. Who's in their team?
Yeah.
What are they doing?" And then from then on, all of our team from that year got signed, and we're playing NRL the next year.
Oh, so really? Wow! So
it was like I said, the guys before Peachy went to Penrith was playing first grade at Penrith. Young and was playing first grade at Melbourne. Kira Somi was playing at Souths. So, guys move on, and that's the sort of stepping stone I guess it takes to get to the NRL. Everyone's sort of different the way they go. Some people go in early, have long careers.
I think the under-20s comp has been the worst thing that could have happened to the NRL.
I think they're changing it. So
I know players can't really comment on it, but for me personally, it has just gutted the foundation of what the NRL used to be.
Yeah.
And we should have a national reserve grade comp. You're putting these under-20 players on TV. They should not be on TV getting all this attention, these contracts and rah-rah. Like, they're just not mentally ready for it.
Yeah.
It's a men's game. You need to be playing against men. Like, how many under-20 players do you know that were guns in 20s? As soon as they get into reserve grade, they get absolutely flogged.
Because you see guys, like some guys are playing like 80 20s games.
Yeah.
60 to 80 under-20s games, and then they've just killed it in the 20s for so long because they're used to that level, and then they get out of there and they just can't adapt.
Yeah, because they're used to being a little bit lazy here.
Yeah.
I won't wrestle this guy here, or I won't push up on the inside, or I'll drop this ball. It's okay to drop this ball. I'll break this tackle because it's just crazy to me to think that the NRL didn't look at that and go, why are we putting this under 20s and propping it up?
Yeah.
And just completely disregarding this. Because back in the day, reserve grade used to be hectic. Like, you used to have... Sometimes, Origin players would get dropped there, and it would be just normal. Like, it would just be a normal thing.
Yeah. I know the guys, this was before my time, but, guys used to sit on the bench for, Jersey Flag and then go up into Premier League and then play there and things. People would play Premier League and then sit on the bench for first grade. Obviously, that's not going to happen now, but, back in the old days, Yeah,
it was a quality competition to come and watch. This is what I would do. If I was the NRL, I would... I'd completely brush the under-20s comp and go back to local league, and they can just go back to local. I'd create a national reserve grade side, but what I would do is I would use that to sell the most exciting brand of footy that I can. So all of these rules that we're thinking about changing.
Maybe that's a pretty good idea. That Super League rule, the no advantage. You can trial all these rules in the
exactly, and it's the exciting version of footy. So you just go, look, the reserve grade, we're just going to make it as exciting product as possible. So as many tries as we can get, big hits, all this kind of stuff. We just want to make this game fun and so it's a little bit different, but still the same.
Yeah.
And you sell it as that kind of game. So it's kind of like a different league.
Yep.
That the hardcores can be like, I love that league the best.
Yeah.
But anyway, fuck. I'm not the marketing guy. I'm not the marketing guy for the NRL. I'm sure there's plenty of reasons why they haven't done that. So you go to the Warriors, and what was it like? Was it frustrating? Was it enjoyable? I mean, obviously it would have been enjoyable, but in the context of rugby league, were you like, man, maybe I should have stuck it out because the thing that happened with Carney and obviously...
No, it was I look back on it now and say it was the best thing I ever did for my career, and I got getting there into Auckland and going to training, and obviously being the new guy and having to meet everyone.
Did they make you sing a song?
Nah, they didn't actually.
They must have canned that tradition. God damn it, I had to do it. Shit.
I don't think... Actually, I sung a song on the bus.
Yeah, on the bus.
Yeah, that was
it.
it.
Camp?
Yeah.
Okay, so they did.
The first time we went on the bus, I sung a song.
Oh, my voice was crack. I was so embarrassed, me. What'd you sing?
I sung Eminem 8 Mile.
Oh,
Yeah, I rapped it.
I sung Bleeding Love, Leona Lewis.
Yeah, so like 2014 at this stage, Matt Elliott was our coach at the Warriors,
Yep.
and leading into the season, they'd signed myself, Sam Tompkins, and Jason Bakuya as well from the Sharks. So the
Yep.
three of us were the new guys, and we started the season not so well, and then I think 6 games in, they sacked Matt Elliott. And, at this stage, I was like, Matt Elliott signed me. Like, where do I stand here?
Yep.
And so then Andrew McFadden came in and he took over the reins, and I formed a really good relationship with Cappy. Like I said, he's loves his tactical side of things and really into I guess putting things in place for his players to make sure that they know exactly what's expected of them, and broke things right down to like the smallest thing. Went into a lot of detail, and which for me, like, I really enjoyed. Like I said, like I love footy, and I really like that sort of thing. And Cappy, would always tell you, he'd always be honest with you and tell you, what you were doing right and what you were doing wrong. And then in 2015, that's probably when, at the start of the season, my girlfriend and I decided that we wanted to move back to Sydney.
Yep.
And this was before a ball was kicked, and my girlfriend's mum, Gail, has bowel cancer.
Yep.
And has been struggling from the treatment and the effects that it's had on her body for a number of years now. And I went to Cappy and said, "Hey Cap, this is just purely nothing to do with football. I'd like to move back to Sydney." Didn't have a club in mind or anything. It was just more about getting back to Sydney. And at the start, he was probably a bit shocked at what I said. And we met numerous times. And from when I told him about that situation, he and the support him and the club showed me about not only Marissa's welfare, my girlfriend, but her mother as well. Non-stop asking me how she's gone. Is there anything we can do? Do you want to go to Sydney a day before we go to spend some more time in Sydney? Constantly, doing whatever they could to help me out. Which I look back now and just I can't thank them enough. And so then it was more about trying to get something sorted in Sydney, and then Cappy had actually offered me a 3-year deal to stay at the Warriors, and he said, "Mate, we really want you to think about this. We'd love to have you." And I was at that stage, I was blown away. Like I was, I guess you could probably say I was happy that they offered me a 3-year deal, because it means I must be doing something right. They really must like me as a bloke, as a player. So for me, I just had to man up and say, "Mate, like, this is what I want. Like, I need to move back to Sydney." And then from then on, it was just there was 2 clubs in Sydney that wanted to chat, and then one of them was Cronulla, and my agent and I met with Flano, and he said he'd been watching me closely while I've been at Warriors, and said I'd been a much improved player and really liked the way I'd go about my business, and offered me a 2-year contract. So for then, we just nutted out a few things and signed it, at the back end of last year, probably just after halfway, well, probably 1 year ago, So signed 2 years back at the Sharks. So finished off at the Warriors. Moved back to Sydney in the off season, and that sort of brings me up to walk back into Cronulla.
What was that? I mean, that period in your life would have been so tough, because obviously you're dealing with people that you love struggling. Was it a tough period, as in personally, selfishly personally?
Like probably more so for my missus. Like, she was struggling, not being able to see her mum Gail. Like, she'd speak to her on the phone a fair bit, but not be able to see her in person. And you say it's only a 3-hour flight to Brisbane. I mean, to Auckland. Sorry, but it's transit. It's a full day transit from when you leave door to door. So 12
hours easy. More than 12 hours.
Yeah, and while I was over there, I just thought to myself, is there anything that I can do to help this, to make this situation, to help it, and
to just improve it.
Yeah, so
make it as good of a bad situation.
Yeah, I emailed the guys at Bowel Cancer Australia and said, just email them a page about my story or Marissa's story, Gail's story, and just said, if there's anything that I can do, promote on social media, help out, turn up to an event, promo, raise a bit of awareness, I'd love to help out.
Yep.
And they were like, that's unreal. They offered me a 2-year ambassadorship with Bowel Cancer Australia. So I was
wow.
Awesome. I'd be more than happy to help out. So I signed on with them for 2 years to sort of try and promote a bit of awareness. And I know that NRL does their bit as well, which is cool. Which I know there's they promote on their website and things like that. So for me, it's more about promoting bowel cancer awareness online on social media. And making sure, I know there's a test you can do and it's preventative. So, it's just a small thing that I can do, I guess, to try and help that situation.
Man, so, but for personally, when emotionally for you, internally, were you fighting with yourself a bit? Were you like, oh, man, the club's been good to me, but I love my missus and I'm trying to do everything. Was that internal struggle hard for you, or was it pretty simple?
No, it was pretty simple decision. My missus is the number one thing in my life, and she's been there for me through everything. So for me, she quit her job and moved to New Zealand for me. And so for me, I see us as one, so for us, it was about making a decision for the both of us. And
because you said at the start there, you said I didn't even have a club in mind, so you were willing to come back and just play New South Wales Cup if you had to.
Like I said, I wanted to come to Sydney, and then I just didn't know. I didn't know. And then when I found out there was 2 clubs, I was like,
icing on the cake kind of thing.
And the Gold Coast had approached me as well and said, what's your situation? What's the go? So I said to them, look, I really want to move to Sydney. That's my main priority. Yep. If anything changes, I'll let you know. And they were pretty appreciative of that, so they understood the reasons why. So
completely. Yeah, it's you think it'd be a hard decision, but then when you're in the position of what your priorities are and you know what they are, and this is your priority.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I was happy to move to Sydney as well. Yeah. Obviously, back in an environment that I'm familiar with. So
and it's obviously worked out for you. I mean, you're playing great footy, you're happy, everything's going well. So come back to Sydney, in Cronulla, you're fighting for, I guess you were fighting for a spot with the Sharks at the start of the year. What was that like for you?
Yeah, probably, coming back, you obviously, don't know what's going to happen. And, obviously last year they had Jeff Robson and Jack Bird in the halves, and Birdie had a pretty amazing year. Obviously won Daily M Rookie of the Year, and they'd obviously signed James Maloney. So for me, it was more about coming in and just training hard. I can't control what people say or what other people do, but I can control what I do. I can control that if I train hard, if I do everything that's required of me, I know that I'll be number 7 at this club. So for me, I just wanted to get my hands on that number 7 jumper and not let it go, and that's exactly what I've done. Like I said before, I've always wanted to be the number 7 here and be the guy in control, and making sure that I'm getting the game plan on for Flano and the coaching staff, and making sure that we're all on the same page.
I guess, and you embrace that position too. It's not like you're a reluctant 7. Like, you genuinely embrace being in that 7 and loving that position.
Yeah, I genuinely, like I said before, I'm a student of the game. I genuinely love being the 7, and I love organising and telling people what to do. It's probably one of my biggest attributes as a player. Yeah. I write a lot of stuff down, a lot of plays, a lot of ideas, and I read over them, before a game. Before training, just to...
What would be the craziest thing you would see on your notepad? That you can say publicly.
I don't know, it's more so for trying to target areas of weakness for the opposition. And
so if you were playing maybe like Dan Kemp, small, weak, weakling. Small weakling. He'd give that note to Bird. Well, this is my note on Kemi. It just says weakling.
But yeah, like it's things more so like if we're talking about attack, like what their defense is doing and
GME and
staying out. Yeah, and for me, in my position as well, like as much as it is, organising as well. Like a lot of my job is to get Ben Barber the ball out the back on a 3-on-2.
Yeah.
And if he gets a 3-on-2, 90% of the time he's making the right decision. He's either hitting Birdie short off his hip or he's hitting Valentine long, who's in the corner scoring a try. And I think this year
we've had friggin' half his body in the stadium.
Yeah, exactly. So for us this year, we've had a lot of success with that. And obviously Val's had a tremendous year scoring a lot of tries, and Birdie's scored a few as well. So that's an area where we really train hard at training and try and put a lot of effort into.
In attack, one of your kind of jobs that you see is give Ben Barber quality ball that he can work with.
Yep, definitely. And I know, like I said, Benny's just...
It's ridiculous.
He's a magician with the ball in his hand.
It's offensive. It's offensive as a fellow rugby league player.
He finds the right man a lot of the time, which is great to see. And the form he's shown this year is a big reason as to why we're in the position we are at the moment. Yep. He's played some of his best footy of his career this year. So... You
had to fight for that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's great to see. Like, people rising up to challenges and walking into them. And Benny trained hard all pre-season. And, like I said, it's just great to see him playing good footy.
And so the 15, was it 15 wins? 16? Or 17?
16, I think.
16 win streak.
Yeah.
Has that been the pinnacle of your career?
Probably the pinnacle of my career is probably NRL debut.
Yep.
But the 16 and... I guess, obviously, being a Sharks record, 16 as well.
You know how long for that to be broken, it
yeah,
just won't happen.
Yeah, and like I guess it's a cool thing. It's probably something, when I finish my career, I'll look back on and say, well, remember that, 2016... We won 16 in a row.
Yeah. But I guess in saying that, it doesn't mean anything.
100%. That was going to be my next thing.
Yeah.
People say like, "Oh man, the streak, like he's going so well," and we're like, "Yeah, but like even when we're winning those games, we're like, yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. Like even now, like it, it doesn't mean anything." So, like I said, I think it's something you'll probably look at back on the end of the career. But for now, it's more about what else can we do to finish this season on the way that we really want to.
What's been your favourite game where you felt you've played your best footy? Where you've been like, you know what, everything just fucking worked then.
Probably round 2 this year against the Dragons.
Yep.
We won 30-2 at home. My first home game back.
Was it sunny? Just sunny?
It was sunny. Sunday afternoon. The crowd was packed.
I
was actually really nervous. Like I was more nervous this game than any other game I've ever been.
Really?
And I think it was
like
just
Derby kind of.
Derby, first game back, big crowd, like. I scored a try, set up a couple of others, and for me, everything, especially this probably 5 to 8 minute period just before half time, just fell into my lap. I was like, man, like this is everything's going right, and then we ended up, like I said, we ended up winning 30-2, and after the game, like the crowd were just going off, and we were just able to walk around and clap the crowd, and I was just like, man, like. That was unreal. Like, that's why you play footy. It was just the love of the game, the crowd. Like, that was definitely probably, one of the highlights, of the season.
And, for you personally, what's been the toughest time in your career where you've really struggled? I mean, I'm sure that because it sounds like you love the game, so there's no point in your career where you're like, maybe I should go and get a full-time job here or something. Like, maybe I should start. Has there ever been situations like that for you?
Probably not to that extent. More so probably like, I guess, before I went to New Zealand when I was, wasn't playing in, week out NRL. I was playing a majority of New South Wales Cup, and
we're like, what more can I do?
Exactly. That's how I was thinking, and I guess I sort of channeled that frustration into try and put it into my performance in the New South Wales Cup, and at that stage, you haven't quite made the NRL properly yet. Like before I went to the Warriors, I'd played less than 50 games. I really, I could have gone either way. I could have said, this is too hard for me, or just knuckle down and rip in and have a go. So that was definitely a challenging bit. But I came through it, and now I've walked out the other side.
And so, when you look, obviously the next few weeks it's to hopefully to a minor premiership, but the next few years, what is kind of, where do you want to be in the next few years?
Probably I'd love to. I'm off contract next year, so for me it's probably sorting that out as well. But this year I got my first taste of rep footy. I played my first City Country game, which was an enjoyable week. Freddie
for City
played for City. Yeah, Freddie was our coach.
What was that like?
He's a bit of a different character.
I love him, bro. I love him.
Got some great stories.
Mate, I love him.
Made us before we get off the bus, he'd make us sit there and meditate for 3 minutes. So we'd have to sit there eyes closed, just think about. He'd just say, just think about life, think about your day, think about what's going on in life, and he swears by it. He does it all the time. So
it does work, but it's just it takes so long to learn to get that zone.
Yeah, and it was cool if you into that stuff. But
what was the other boys saying? Was any boys
some boys would be sitting there and one eye open, looking away, with a little laugh, giggling. But yeah,
but it's Freddie. It's Freddie.
Freddie took it. Freddie took it really seriously. So you didn't want to take the piss out of Freddie because
he's the man.
It's Freddie.
It really works.
Yeah. So
I love him. I think he's so good. I love his commentary. I think it's funny. It's just different.
Yeah.
It was a game before the Broncos played Cronulla, and he goes, the Broncos have only played 15 games and they've all been at night. And they only win at night time. It's like they're vampires. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's so awesome, but also, I just love it.
Awesome. So I'd love to play Origin. That's my the next step in my career. And to do that, you got to be playing consistently. For probably years before you get a crack at Origin. So, that's an area where I really want to head towards consistency. Origin is definitely something I'd love to play at some stage, but like I said, being off contract next year, it's always a bit of a, I'd probably say different time when you're off contract because you just don't know what's going to happen. So
and if you're injured,
and there's a lot of variables and a lot of things that can happen. So sorting that out is probably going to be a main priority of mine, and then getting a bit of clarity and I guess where your life's going for a couple of years when you sign a new contract is always you can rest, you can be at peace with what you're doing. So that's probably me in the next couple of years, moving forward.
And favourite rapper of all time?
Favourite rapper of all time, definitely Eminem.
Yes.
I grew up in the 90s, so for me,
he's the man, bro.
Eminem, I used to love Eminem.
His lyrics, you can't beat him.
Yeah, lyrical genius,
mate. I love him. He's GOAT. He's number one.
Yeah.
You can't tell me there's been anyone that's ever done what he's done.
Nah, he
tells a story in every one of his songs.
Yeah, and I guess he's probably past and the things he raps about. He's got a story, and he's just a storyteller. And his story is just fascinating.
It's amazing.
You come through all that, and you're still successful, and
it's amazing. Favorite movie of all time.
Favorite movie of all time is anything with Denzel in it.
Oh, yes.
Denzel's my favourite actor.
He's the man.
Yeah, so
he can make anything good.
Yeah. I know there's I just saw a trailer out for his new movie.
The Magnificent Seven?
Yeah, and he doesn't make a bad movie, Denzel. So
even if it is a bad movie, he makes it good.
Yeah. So
cool.
I'd have to say anything with Denzel.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. If you could have a billboard anywhere and say anything, what would it be and where would it be?
That's a cool question.
I stole it off Tim Ferriss. One of the biggest podcasts. Do you know Tim Ferriss?
I'm reading his book at the moment.
Oh,
4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah. No, I listen to his podcast. It's amazing.
I might have to get onto it.
Haven't you? Oh, don't you listen to it?
No, I'm about quarter way through his book.
If you're all about just being the best version of yourself, it's a human optimization podcast. I need to optimize my English language. But, it's amazing, bro. He just gets these crazy guests on, these billionaires, these young entrepreneurs. It's part of the reason where I got a lot of these ideas from. Not these ideas necessarily, but just ways of thinking about these ideas.
Yeah.
You know, for example, there's another guy called Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know him too.
Oh, yeah,
I've listened to his podcast. He's crazy.
He's crazy. I love it. I love it.
He's
It's straight to the point. No bullshit.
He's doing big things, isn't he?
Mate, and he's been doing it for ages.
Yeah.
And he's done it in so many different areas.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, obviously.
Yep.
London Real.
Yeah.
I think you'd like London Real. That's like a more like in between Joe Rogan and in between Tim Ferriss. Like has similar guests on, but it's more like story driven.
Yeah.
Similar to this, but not like you know.
In the last couple of months, that's one thing I've started to do, like reading.
Reading. Yeah, reading is massive.
In the last probably 6 months, to 6 to 12 months, I try and read half an hour a day. Like, because growing up, when I went to school, like I didn't want to read. I didn't want to study. All I wanted to do was play footy.
How amazing is it though?
And
blow your mind, eh?
Yeah, and now like I'm reading, I'm learning all these things different, and I'm like, it just opens your eyes up to different things.
100%.
And I guess that's why, like, one of the reasons why I'm doing my course at the moment. Studying financial planning, like things that I could probably use for my own self-development. I'm not sure if I'll definitely be a financial advisor one day, but
another string to your bow.
Exactly. And for me to learn these things and stuff about superannuation, tax,
they're all things that everyone should know.
Investment properties, things like that. Like, I'm right into that, and like, if I can help myself and put myself in the best position of making choices for my career, and even when I finish playing footy, I know I'll be in a good position. So it never came naturally for me. Even now, like, I've got 1 month to go in my course, which I've been doing for over 12 months, which, reading textbooks this big.
So much information.
It just does, like, it never came natural to me. So I said, if you start it, you got to finish it. Like, promise yourself to that. So that's something I've held myself against. So, no,
it's a good idea, man. It's 100%. Like, I think it's getting better because of the internet. We realise that there's so much more that we've got to take care of other than just footy. But when you quit footy and if you've got nothing to fall back on, it is a dark, dark place, dark, lonely place.
But back to your question on the billboard, I'd probably have to say, probably when you come over the bridge from Sans Souci to Tarrant Point, probably have one there. I don't know what it'd say. Probably like, maybe give like my @Chad Townsend 10, like give me a plug on social media.
I was thinking like something inspirational or something. Right, sweet, brother. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been over an hour, so I've fucking kept you way longer than I said I would, but I apologise for that. But
no worries at all.
Thanks for coming on, brother, and good luck for the next few weeks.
Thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it, and good luck to the locker room for...
Boom! That's it, brother.